What is going on, San Antonio? What is going on, man? You are tuned into the Fantasy Gods with myself, Brandon Big Papi Medina. I got the best producer in the game, Mr. Joe Garcia, Spursed out, ready to go for the Spurs game today. We are having a fun time. Listen, Joe, before we get into anything, this is a fantasy football show. This is a betting show. But can we recognize my Texas Rangers for one time, baby?
Yeah, shout out, man.
Come on.
Shout out.
Your boy is still hungover from the parade. We're still getting things figured out in life, but we are happy to be here with you all. Thank you guys for tuning in. Feel free, get any questions, any betting information or questions that you guys have into the chat. Let us know. We are live right now. We are happy to be with you. It is Sunday. We are in November, man. How fast
already?
Things just moving.
Hey, and we got an extra hour sleep today, too.
We got an extra hour of sleep. And so make sure you set your clocks back. If you didn't know, we're still at 10:30. You might be listening at 11:30, which means you need to set that clock back. But 10:30 is where we go to 11:30 with you guys. We're happy to be here again. Joe Garcia and myself with you for the next hour. Joe, how we doing, brother? How's the weekend?
Doing good, man. Hey, I'm going to be at the Spurs game later on today with Mikey Menace, dude. We're going to be watching the Toronto Raptors play. We celebrated against the Rangers, because the Rangers had that victory.
Come on now.
They won the World Series, so we're celebrating over there at the Stout House. We got a little litty.
Just a little bit.
But it was a good week overall. Good week for, sports, and it's going to be an even better Sunday as we talk fantasy football.
I agree, man. And listen, we have a very exciting Sunday ahead of us. We have some major rivalries going on in the NFL. We have Cowboys, Philadelphia. You got Cincinnati and the Bengals. You got big games. And then there's a game that you and I both will be talking about probably in our can't miss parlays, which is Washington, New England. It's an interesting one as well. There's a few of them in there, man, that we're really excited for, really looking forward to. Talk to me a little bit about what you're expecting today, man. Before we went on, you're looking at a lot of unders in points scored for matchups today. Is it going to be a very defensive Sunday? Is that what you're saying?
I think it might be a very defensive Sunday, especially if you're a fan of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Texans, man. We got some interesting propositions for you guys.
It is very true. Very true. Well, listen, we appreciate you guys. One time real quick, we're going to go ahead and recognize our sponsors one time real quick. We got, of course, Mad Pecker Brewing Company on Tesla Road. Make sure you go check them out. They're incredible. Shout out to Joe Garcia for this beautiful little overlay. You get to see a nice little beer being poured out. But they have the best brews, man. IPA, stouts, everything and anything that you could dream of is there at Matt Pecker. Stop drinking your Coors Lights and your Bud Lights. Go drink something that's really going to give you a buzz and get your bang for your buck. And go have some great food, man. Matt Pecker Brewing Company, 6025 Tesla Road. Go check them out. Additionally, we have the best drive-through coffee shop in San Antonio, and that is Mudslingers Drive-Through Coffee Shop, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. Stop going to Starbucks. Stop going to Dutch Bros. You're not even Dutch. You're from San Antonio. Go to Mudslingers Drive-Through Coffee Shop, man. Check them out. They have the best coffee. You got the alien for Wemby. Celebrate that 38-point outing, and, go check out something local. So we appreciate that. But let's talk a little bit about fantasy football, man. We have big matchups to talk about. We have a lot of exciting matchups. And with that, what we're going to have to do today, as always, is we're going to have to blessed is he who starts.
Blessed is he who starts.
Let's talk a little bit about who you need to be starting in your fantasy football lineups. Here's a few that I like. I'm starting out hot, okay? Hot.
Already out
the gate, we're going in with the hot takes, okay? You've had a player in your lineups that just has not produced what you wanted him to produce. And I have the same player, and that is Chris Olave. Chris Olave has not been able to have the massive year that we thought he was going to have. This is the breakout game, okay? He's averaging almost 12 targets a game. First, not 2, not 3, Joe. First among wide receivers in deep targets. And he's playing the Bears, a.k.a. Basura. They're trash. Play them. Chicago's giving up 22.5 fantasy points to wide receivers. Do you know what that means, people? That means he is a gold mine right now, and you need to go look at him. Chris Olave needs to be there. We are talking all about the Saints players. Not only Olave, Alvin Kamara is going to have a wonderful, wonderful time. And listen, I'm going to give you one later on Say a Little Prayer that nobody's going to think is good. It's going to sound gross. It's going to sound nasty, but could also have some fancy value. But for now, Kamara, Chris Olave, go check it out. It's going to be a big, big game for them. The other one I like, we said it last time, man. I've gone back and I'm so hot and cold. I'm a toxic girlfriend with this guy. Listen, I am always hot and cold. Today, I'm on the hot side. Garrett Wilson needs to be started. Love me some Garrett Wilson in today's matchup, or in the matchup that the Jets have. I do think, looking at it, Garrett Wilson's been obviously the favorite target. He plays tomorrow on Monday. You got the Chargers. The Chargers have not scared me. They've been able to be passed upon. You saw Minnesota absolutely throw the ball like crazy against him. You've seen other teams get the ball out against him. The Chargers are not going to terrify me into not playing Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is also a must start for me. Not finally, but another one. Again, he was just on my hate list last week. Makes it onto my love list this week. Good old Amari Cooper. Welcome back, brother. I like Amari Cooper today. You got Deshaun. I like Amari. I think when Deshaun Watson is playing, Amari Cooper looks great, and he looks to be a little bit more of a vital fantasy asset than he has been when he's not in. So I do like that. And then the other one, we're going to save one more wide receiver for Say a Little Prayer because it's too risky for me to bless it in your starting lineup. But Jonathan Taylor and running back sets it off for me. Has a great matchup right now. I really like Jonathan Taylor. He's been going over about 70 yards each game the past 2 games. His line right now is at 67.5. Remember that because it's going to come up in our prop bets. Josh Jacobs is also somebody I like a lot today. Josh Jacobs, he's been pretty okay. Hasn't been very good, but has a very good matchup against the Giants. Allowed the 3rd most rushing TDs and 9th most fantasy points per game to running backs. So give me Josh Jacobs. The other ones I like me some DeAndre Swift with Philadelphia. I'm not scared of the Cowboys' run defense, and I think he can also catch some passes in the backfield. And then additionally, give me Joe Mixon, who we haven't talked about literally all year on this show. I like me some Joe Mixon. I do think it's possible that he has a great game today. I mean, I look at a lot, Joe. One that I like so much, he's in my DraftKings lineup. He's in my Blessed is he who starts lineup right here. He's the only quarterback I'm going to talk about today. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys.
No.
Let me tell you right now, Dak Prescott has been on fire lately for fantasy football, averaging about 27 points a game. And the Eagles defense, they're scary. They're so scary. What are they going to do? Listen, they're averaging, 16 passing touchdowns. That's what they've given up. Not averaging. That'd be kind of ridiculous. But they're giving up 16 passing touchdowns throughout the year. That defense is 29th in the NFL for passing touchdowns. I expect Dak Prescott to have a good week. I expect CeeDee Lamb to have a good week. And Tony Pollard is my favorite prop bet of the day. Let me repeat this. Tony Pollard is my favorite prop bet of the day. If you missed out on us last week, we didn't miss. How many did we miss? How many prop bets did we miss, Joe?
Zero
Prop bets, player props did we miss. And then I came back on Thursday. Guess how many I missed? Zero. Your boy's on a heater for the NFL right now with prop bets. It's not going to last. It's just, you got to be realistic. But I think at least Tony Pollard will be hitting today for us. So that's who I love today. I really think those are all really good players. Again, to recap things, Chris Olave, Mari Cooper, Garrett Wilson, Jonathan Taylor, Josh Jacobs, Joe Mixon, DeAndre Swift, Dalton Kincaid I love for tight ends, and I love me some Dak Prescott and some Derek Carr, of course, because they're playing Chicago. So that's everybody I like, man. Any surprises there for you? I know Amari was kind of thrown in there.
That's a little bit of surprise because you about a week or two ago, you're like, no, Amari's basura. No, Amari, no, he doesn't know valid. All of a sudden, now you're having to change your heart.
Come on. Listen.
That was 2 weeks ago, bro. That's what you're going to tell me.
That's old news, baby. Today's today. Come on.
Hey, man, but you know what the interesting thing is to me right now? It's Jalen Hurts and Dak Prescott. They've only actually met up one time.
Really?
Yeah, one time. And the last time that the Cowboys met up with the Eagles and Dak played it was Dak versus Jalen. Cowboys winded up winning that game 41-21, and Dak had 3 touchdowns in that game.
I like it, man. I like it. Also, something we don't talk about a lot on the fantasy football show, especially when we're already this deep into the season. Before we get into who you should bench, I have somebody you should be picking up, right? Somebody you should be picking up on your waiver wire that's probably available. And if you're struggling at the quarterback position, this could really be a benefit to you. I'm not saying this guy's a league winner. I'm not saying this guy's going to win you weeks. I have no idea. We will see. But the Minnesota Vikings made a trade for Joshua Dobbs, right? The quarterback out of Arizona. Now, I'm not telling you to take Joshua Dobbs. I wouldn't do that to you guys, right? What I am saying is this, to me, is a clear indicator that the Cardinals are going to do one of two things. Either it is full on, we are tanking the number 1 pick, which is probably 80% what I think they're going to do. The other 20% means in the next few weeks, I think Kyler Murray's coming back to this team. He's been out with a big injury. It's taken him weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks. We didn't know if we were going to see him in the middle of the season, at the end of the season at all. I wanted to play in the beginning of the season. It's pretty crazy. But Kyler Murray is somebody you should be stashing if you have a spot on your bench. If you can drop, a wide receiver or a tight end that you're not using at all, or if you have a second defense or whatever God's name reason you do that. If you have any of those things, I would definitely move away and maybe pick up Kyler Murray and see what he can bring to the table if he does indeed, get a chance to play this week. Because Kyler Murray, as we know, could be a very fantasy valuable quarterback. I just don't know what Kyler Murray we're going to see. And the Cardinals are just not very good. So,
no.
But if you have Russell Wilson or Derek Carr or Matthew Stafford and you're just struggling through, it might be worth looking at.
Don't slander on Derek Carr, man. He's been
good. He's been good.
He's been trending towards a good fantasy football week.
Well, especially against Chicago. But what I'm saying is, it's nice to have a backup quarterback that could possibly be your starter if you didn't take a quarterback early in those rounds. If you don't have Lamar, if you don't have Mahomes or Josh Allen or Justin Herbert or even Dak Prescott, if you have none of those guys or Jalen Hurts, it might be very wise for you to take a look at Kyler Murray if he's available. But with that, let's get into a little bit of Thou Shall Bench.
Thou shall bench.
Here are some guys that I don't want in my lineups at all today. And 2 of them have been very good to me. Very good to me. And I can't play them, guys. There's something about the lineups and the matchups that I just don't like. One is Hollywood Brown for the Arizona Cardinals. He's been great. No Joshua Dobbs. You're playing a quarterback. I mean, if I told you to name the Arizona Cardinals quarterback, there's no way you would do it for $1,000. You couldn't do it. The Cardinals quarterbacks situation looks really, really bad right now. They just traded their starter who was giving Hollywood Brown all those looks. Hollywood Brown is not starting for me. DJ Moore, who's been great for Chicago and great for fantasy, not going to be in my starting lineup either. Upside is super limited, and the Saints have allowed the third fewest points per game to perimeter wide receivers. Again, quarterback situation in Chicago is downright awful, so I don't want DJ Moore either. The other ones that I don't want, I'm a Vikings fan, of course. I don't know if you can tell, guys. I don't know if you can tell that I'm a Vikings fan.
No, I couldn't tell, man.
But Alexander Madison will not be in my lineup either. Cam Akers got a lot of work last week. I have Cam Akers on a prop bet. I'm not trusting Alexander Madison, unfortunately, and Gus Edwards, who you would think against Baltimore, you would think if Baltimore gets up, they run more, they do all that. Listen, Justice Hill's also there, might be splitting time a little bit. Gus Edwards, he had a lot of fantasy points recently, but I feel like it's very, very fluky, right? I just feel like it's not really lining up to realistic expectations. And then Seattle is top 8 in rushing yards. So that's that. Also, going back to Madison, just a few weeks ago, do you remember when I told you that stat that that the Falcons were actually leading the league in like running defense? So I mean, the Falcons are still pretty solid. I don't want anything to do with it. So those are kind of my big bench plays. As far as anybody else that I'm actively not playing, you're gonna have to play a few of them, but I'm just not a big fan of Seahawk wide receivers this week. Last week, I was a huge fan. You got to play matchups. You got to take looks at what's working, what's not working. But overall, I don't think there's anybody that I'm truly staying away from. Aaron Jones is another guy I'm a little weary about only because of how off and on he is. A.J. Dillon, obviously, I'm not playing anybody from Green Bay, really. We have one person on Green Bay that's going to make it into our Say a Little Prayer segment, only because I do think he could be a benefit. But overall, there's just not much to just mention. I do think there's going to be an opportunity for some big bounce back games this week, which is why in our Say a Little Prayer segment, we're going to have a few players that we do like that had big games or are having big years that maybe can go ahead and additionally make some big plays. But those are kind of the players that I don't want to look at. Not many to choose from, guys, really. I think there's a lot of really good players out there. I would be worried in any matchup of playing a Chicago player at all. Just don't like that. And then also, I am very, very nervous when it comes to certain running backs, right? Ramondre Stevenson, like I said, Jones, a lot of those guys, Madison. The running backs are just really not very good this year, and it's not going to get any easier. So that's kind of who I want to bench this week. We have our boy Jeff Garcia jumped on Locked On Spurs. I need you to come on video now. Oh, no, trying to recreate me and Frost. And then let's do a little Say a Little Prayer, but let's talk a little bit about who we need to say a little prayer for today.
It's time for the fantasy gods to say a little prayer.
Here is one of our favorite segments because we have seen some major games from segments like this, from a segment like this that is just meant to promote players that maybe you're not already looking at, players that maybe you are nervous to play, you don't want to play. This is our time to collectively say a little prayer for these players and for hopefully they to give you a fantasy relevant day. Because
I got somebody for you, man.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do.
Give me them.
Okay, so you have the Pats and the Commanders playing today.
Correct, sir.
If you want somebody to, start maybe at a QB2 position in your fantasy football.
Yeah, if you have a 2 QB league, this is good knowledge.
Yeah. Mac Jones.
And
then he's not going to be great like his name Jalen Hurts or anything, but he's going up against the Commanders. And the Commanders have been their defense is quarterback friendly.
That's true.
So I think that he can get you some points if you want to go ahead and keep him as an option for QB2.
I like it. I like that actually a lot. I do think Mac Jones could be beneficial. The only thing is Mac Jones also can be a turnover machine depending on what team comes out. So we'll see.
It's a gamble.
It is a gamble. So one thing is this is a name I'm mentioning to you that I just picked up recently. And when I say recently, I mean literally before the show went on air. Demario Douglas for the New England Patriots. Who the hell is this? I understand if you don't know. He is a wide receiver for the New England Patriots. And he has been targeted pretty solidly, actually, over the past 2 weeks. He has been targeted 13 times in the past 2 games, and those were against Buffalo and Miami. So Washington doesn't really scare me as much. For Buffalo, he gave you 11.4 fantasy points. For Miami, only 7.9. But again, if he gets into the end zone, if he gets an opportunity to score, if he gets an opportunity to make some noise, could be a very solid pick. The other ones I like that I'm going to say a little prayer for, and these are coming very fast and furious, is T. Higgins. Can he finally get it going and get it on a roll for the Cincinnati Bengals? You drafted him most likely in the 4th to 5th round, and he has not been worth that so far. But I think we changed things up today. I like T. Higgins. I'm going to say a little prayer for Kyle Pitts with Atlanta. Okay, Kyle Pitts has constantly let you down as a fantasy manager, but no Drake London. Heineke's in at QB. I do think it's a tough matchup. The Vikings have been pretty stout against tight ends, but I do think it's worth checking out because if you have Kyle Pitts, most likely you're starting Kyle Pitts, or if he's your tight end too, I think he should probably sneak into maybe that tight end 1 range. And then the other ones I want to say a little prayer for. Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs together for the Green Bay Packers. Somebody has to catch a ball. Somebody has to get the offense moving. I think it might be these two. So again, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs are in my say a little prayer. And then the other ones that I like, and one's kind of a little out there, and I understand if you don't want to take them, but Jalen Hyatt for the Giants. I'm trying to figure out who do the Giants have besides Saquon Barkley. They have to have another piece, and that's who I like. That's who I think could be beneficial. And so with that, those are kind of my little say a little prayers for, simply for the fact that I think they have the opportunity. It's just now putting it into reality and making things happen. And then my final one, real quick, just because it's a big game, you got the Bengals and the Bills, Sunday Night Football. This is where magic happens. This is where big things happen. This could be a game. He's coming off a game against Tampa Bay where he scored 23.7 points. I am starting actively in a league right now. I am starting Gabe Davis, the wide receiver from the Buffalo Bills. Stephon Diggs will get looked at, of course. He also will get double teamed. He also will get a lot of defensive strategies put against him. I told you, like Dalton Kincaid, and it would only make sense that I like Gabe Davis. I like the other options for the Buffalo Bills. I think Cincinnati can win this game. And so I do think Buffalo is going to be forced to throw the ball a lot more than probably they would want to. So Gabe Davis is somebody I love today. Any surprises, sir?
No, not surprises, but you were talking about tight ends a little while ago, and I like to go with some sleeper hits, man.
Go for it.
What about Donald Parham?
You know what? It's a sleeper for sure. The other one I like is Logan Thomas with Washington.
What about Cade Otton for Texans?
Cade Otton could. The thing is, all these names we're mentioning, to be fantasy football relevant, they got to get in the end zone.
Exactly.
So when you look at these players and you say, hey, let me see the matchups, and then is it possible that they can have, if it's 3rd down and 5 in the red zone, can one of these tight ends get in? I think Cade Otton's a great option. Logan Thomas is a great option. Parham is for sure. He's a great option. But if they don't score, it's going to be a really irrelevant fantasy week. But I agree. If you're looking to fill in some
sleepers,
fill in some opportunities there, definitely look at that week or at that position right now. But with that, those are kind of all of our sleepers right now as it stands. Those are the teams that we are looking at with sleepers and people we want to say a little prayer for, people that maybe are in your lineups or were out of your lineups for whatever week. That's why we want to make sure we can kind of take advantage of the matchups. We play the matchups in this show. This show is all about playing the matchups because they're so important. I hated Amari Cooper last week. I love him this week. That's just
2 weeks ago. You were done with him.
Yeah, I was done with him. Sorry. That's just not how it goes. This week, though, all Denver Broncos are on a bye week. Detroit Lions on a bye week. Jacksonville Jaguars on a bye week. And the San Francisco 49ers. All of those teams have fantasy relevant players. You're going to be having to make some really weird opportunities happen and some really weird changes to your fantasy football lineup. So that's kind of all of our fantasy football talk as far as players go. A lot of the show will be a lot of big bets because we have so much to bet on.
We got some interesting stuff.
But again, if you have any questions about your lineups, players, matchups, bets, any props, any over unders, any lines that are moving, all that we are going to be talking about now. Real quick though, do we have a question from our boy Jeff Garcia? What he said?
Let's see. He say Medina question. He says,
What's the most you've ever made from playing fantasy on a weekend? This is actually a great question, Jeff. And actually, the answer is not in football, but I'm a degenerate gambler in general. And so I do a lot of prop bets. And my wife is very much a big fan of this Mexican group called Rebelde, which is like a Jonas Brother type Mexican group, okay?
Mexican boy band, basically.
Yeah, well, it's boys and girls, and it was off of a show in Mexico. Anyways, the tickets were expensive, dog. They're way too much.
More than Karol G?
Yeah, way more than Karol G. So I said, hey, I'm gonna put $100 bet on the NBA today on a prop bet. If it hits, I'll buy the tickets. It hit, and I won $500. So that's probably the biggest one I've done. Also, our boy Echo said Price Pick or $100. Here's my thing, bro. That's a great question. That's one of my favorite questions. Price Picks. The lines will be better. I think the promotions are better in Underdog. I'm sorry. Price Picks has great promotions and lines. Underdog, I think your value is way better as far as how much money you get. Every bet on average, you're going to be getting about $5 more, if not more than more, as far as how many players you bet. I do a lot of Underdog, but that's because I make a lot of money on Underdog. But Price Picks, I've also made plenty of money. They do Taco Tuesday, Flex Friday, where you get your money back if you lose on Fridays. All that stuff is great. So if you're looking at it to bet anywhere, those are the two sites. What I would do, brother, is I would put, if you can, $20 in both. You both get options for like getting your 50% of a bonus back or 100% of a bonus. If you're interested in playing, go check me out on Twitter. I've shared my link before. I like those a lot. Also said good morning from Dallas. Hey, good morning, brother. Go Rangers. That's what I'm talking about. So let's talk a little bit about the lines we have today, man. We have Miami and Kansas City are already playing. They're in Frankfurt, Germany right now with all the bratwurst, drinking all the German beer. It was 21-0. It is now 21-14. Miami making moves right now to come back into this game. You have Tua and Raheem Mostert kind of getting things done for Miami. And then the Kansas City Chiefs. It's not looking good for any Travis Kelce owners, and I am the proud owner of one. 2 receptions for 7 yards going into the fourth quarter.
You know what? I bet you Taylor's not there.
Taylor's there to make the trip out to Germany. That's what it is.
If she was there, he'd probably have a better game. When she's in the stands, he has a better game.
That's true.
He plays better when his girl's there.
Yeah, everybody does, brother.
Yeah,
come on now.
You don't want to get punked out in front of your girl.
Can't get punked out.
Yeah.
So let's look at the lines of the stands. Seattle and Baltimore out the gate. One of our favorite matchups, favorite games. Baltimore favored by 6. Does this make sense, Joe? What do you think?
I don't know. This one did make it in, man. It did make it into my parlay.
Your can't miss locked in parlay.
Can't miss locked in parlay. But I got to tell you, I think it's a little too liberal there. +6. I'd like it to come down a little bit more. I got the Ravens over the Seahawks by 3.
Okay, I like that. I do think the Ravens beat the Seahawks, and I would agree. I think -3 would make me feel a lot more comfortable. But obviously, you're going to lose some value there. Now, whatever value you do lose, I guarantee will give you some value coming up to kind of make that back. So Chicago and the Saints -9. Honest to God, dude, I'm almost fine with this line. Like -9 makes sense to me against Chicago. The Saints are going to put a point. Kamara is going to have a great game.
Yeah.
Chris Olave, I just told you, is on my blessed is he who starts. Derek Carr is on my blessed is he who starts. All 3 of those guys are going to have great games. And then here's the one I didn't miss. Here's one I didn't say. A little sleeper. I wanted to put him in my say a little prayer, but even if I said a little prayer, I felt like God wasn't going to answer. But let me just tell you this. Here's a wild one. If you got a tight end spot we were talking about, forget about Parham. Forget about Logan Thomas. Forget about all these scrubs. If you can find Taysom Hill on that waiver wire, if you can find Taysom Hill, give me some Taysom Hill. Only because he's a gadget player. He can pass. He can catch. He can run. This Chicago defense will allow all of that to happen. They have nothing else to do. So I like Taysom Hill. I like every Saint, man. And I love the Saints defense if you can get them. So that's what I like right there. What about Arizona and Cleveland, brother. This is going to be another blowout, minus 13, the biggest differential in football today.
Man, this one it made it into my parlay. Oh, no, this one didn't make it into the parlay. But I did have them, I believe I had the Pats beating. Yeah, I did have the Pats. The Pats, I think, beating the Commanders. Oh, no, I had the Commanders beating the Pats +3 is what I had. Yeah.
Well, we're talking Arizona, Cleveland. What do you think about
Arizona, Cleveland? Now, that one, let's see. I'm trying to see if I had that one. No, I didn't.
They're minus 13, which is
crazy. Arizona, Cleveland. This one is interesting to me only because the Cleveland Browns defense is really good. And the Cardinals are horrible.
Yes.
And
they got no quarterback.
Exactly. And they got no quarterback. I actually do like the Cleveland Browns. I don't know if I like them by 2 touchdowns. I'd probably like them more by like maybe 6. I'd probably go ahead and take the +6 on this one.
They're for sure going to be winning by more than 6. I
don't know, man.
I think Cleveland minus 10 is the way to go. I think a touchdown, a field goal, I'm comfortable with. I think Cleveland defense puts up a touchdown as well. Just going out there and saying that. There's a lot to like. If you're looking at betting any props or betting any game script stuff, like a defensive touchdown normally is like plus money. I like that one in this game too. But yeah, they're gonna dominate. We both know that. The Cardinals are cooked. They're barbecue chicken today. It's not gonna happen. But the Vikings-Falcons game, now we're talking about some interesting stuff here. What are we looking at with this Vikings-Falcons game? Who are you taking? Because I'm telling you now, I've already locked in +3.5 for Minnesota Vikings.
Well, you can't say anything about Cousins, bro.
I mean, listen, Achilles.
Poor brother, man. Pour some out.
Dude, Achilles injuries are so tough to come back with.
It's a turf, bro.
It's bad, bro. And let me tell you this, for any other, not even a Vikings fan, just a general sports fan, this is Kirk Cousins last year as a Minnesota Viking. There's no chance. There's no way. Making a lot of money. He's on his last year of his contract. The Minnesota Vikings will be moving on. That's why they made a trade. They'll probably make a draft pick. I mean, this is it. The Minnesota Vikings, though, I do still think they could cover that +3.5. We haven't seen enough. Jalen Hall, the backup quarterback, we haven't seen enough, and I don't think we're going to see any of Joshua Dobbs as the quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings. But let me just tell you, I watch, obviously, the Vikings quite a bit. I do think you're looking at two teams who have backups. Heineke is very solid as a backup. Jaren Hall for the Minnesota Vikings, he just got a start. Didn't look great, but he can run. He's mobile, and he looks like an NFL quarterback. When you watch him play, he's a big guy. I think truly he can possibly get it going. When you have, let me put it like this. You got Bijan, Kyle Pitts. That's literally it.
Yeah.
Over there. Over here, you got Cam Akers and Madison and Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson and KJ Osborne. You have just more opportunities for offense on this side, and the defense for the Vikings is going to be able to compete with the defense like the Falcons. They're both not great defenses, but they can make stops.
But the team has to put up some points. Who's going to be your QB2 now with Cousins out?
That's
they
what
went
I'm
ahead
saying.
and made a trade for Dobbs.
Yeah, they made trades for Dobbs. Right now, they have Jaren Hall, who was a draft pick this year, who's a rookie, but again, a mobile quarterback, and this game is completely mobile. We know that. If you get any pressure on him, he's going to run out, and he can run for 9 to 15 yards very easily. It makes sense for them to kind of also, when you play Heineke, you know what you're going to get, right?
Yeah.
As a defense, you've seen him play as a veteran in the league. When you're playing someone like this, you don't know. The game script could change very quick because they have not scouted you enough. And so it's very free-flowing for Jaren Hall, the Vikings, to make something happen because they don't know, hey, does he run a lot on third downs? What's his pressure rate?
Haven't
What does he
seen
do?
a lot of them.
Yeah, and so if he can come out and have not even a great game, give me 180 yards, a touchdown, and 2 interceptions, I could care less. But if you could get a win, that'd be great. And if not, even if you don't win, I don't see the Vikings losing by more than 3, which is like I like +3.5. What do you think?
No, I can go ahead and respect that.
Tampa Bay and Houston, though. This one is something. This is like your favorite game. You've been talking about this all day.
This was the one that got me excited, bro. Since both of these teams notoriously haven't been really high-scoring teams.
Right.
You know, the one thing that's really sexy here is if you go ahead and get the bet to where both teams will not score over 40 points combined. That might actually hit.
You know what? That might. I like that one. So it has 40. The over-under is 40. You're saying under.
Under.
Tampa Bay, obviously you got Mike Evans, you got Chris Godwin, you got Rashad White, and then the quarterback situation, we thought Baker might be taking another level, and I feel like he just kind of went back to being Baker. Yeah. But in Houston, I'll tell you what, brother, CJ Stroud does nothing but impress me. The dude's awesome to watch. Now, is he a great quarterback? No, but I'm saying for a rookie,
he's good.
Very sound. Doesn't make a lot of mistakes, throws for chingon yards. And you look at the Texans offense, could also be very solid. This is a close one. Do you think the Texans win by 3?
I got the Texans by 3, but I'm going to tell you, man, that under right there, that's sexy, dude. That's sexy. I like that under. That's a sexy bet right there, man.
I'll tell you what, dude. I agree with you, but I can't disagree with my boy. So I'm all in with you. If you like it, I like it. Lock it in. Texans -3. Commanders, Patriots. Oh, man. There's a theme on this show that we just love shitty games. We just really enjoy watching these close games because it allows our bets to be a lot more tight-knit. Commanders, Patriots, Commanders +2.5. Over under 40.5. What are you thinking? Because I'll tell you right now, Commanders +3 is calling my name.
No, Commanders +3 is what I got right now. I think I go ahead and go with the Pats to cover the under, though.
Yeah, I think they cover the under too. 40.5 is, it's not a lot of points, but it's a lot of points for teams like this. But I think the best bet to do, I would skip the over under and just take the Commanders +3. That just seems to be like, because you got 2 ways of winning. Either they win, they're not going to lose by more than 3. The Patriots are just not world beaters like that. So I like that. Rams, Packers, also an interesting one. The Rams could come out firing, or they could come out like they have been and just been very más o menos. But Packers, I'm not scared of. It's going to be I'm not playing really any Packers this week. The Rams, you got to play Cooper Kupp. You got to play Puka Nacua. And even them, they have not been very good. So Rams, Packers, brother, what are you thinking here? I like the Rams +3.5.
I like the Rams +3.5. But again, this is another game where if you want to, man, you want to go ahead and get that sexy pick in, make that sexy bet. Both teams combined to score under 40, man. I think that's going to be another game.
I think so too, man. I think there's going to be a lot of close games. That over-under is 37. That's tight. I don't know, man. That one, I would stick away from that one only because if it starts to get up there, even in the first quarter, that bet looks to get blown out the water. But Colts, Panthers, I like Colts -2. I don't really have anything else to say. I just don't think the Panthers are very good.
Yeah, Panthers aren't very good, and I like that one. At least -2. Okay, I'll take that.
Take the field goal.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Cowboys, Eagles, people. Cowboys and Eagles. Is it puro pinche Cowboys day? Because they're +3.
Puro pinche Cowboys a la verga is what I say.
Yeah, +3 Cowboys. The money line is +140. That's where the big money is. If you want the Cowboys to win, that's where the money is. The over-under 46.5. I could definitely see them staying under that if the defenses come out to play.
Man, I got the Cowboys beating the Eagles by a touchdown, 30-23.
Woo!
Dak Prescott is gonna have another great game against Jalen Hurts.
30-23. That blows the over-under. That's completely over. And he takes the Cowboys to win. That's that money line. That's what the money line. That's what the money is. +140. That's great value for the Cowboys if you like that. I'm taking Cowboys +3 only because if they lose, I don't see them losing by more than 3 points. Giants and Raiders, I don't even want to talk about this. It's nasty. It's disgusting. I'll take the Raiders money line, but who cares? Who cares?
Yeah, this is a basura game, dude. And you know what? Jimmy G, he's sitting on the bench now.
Dude. Dude just getting to screw porn stars and sit on benches. That's all he does. Buffalo Bills and Bengals, brother. The DeMar Hamlin game, obviously, we know what happened last year. Craziness ensued. Here we are now again. Buffalo Bills, Bengals, Sunday Night Football. What are your thoughts here, dude? Because I think the Bengals get it done. I'll take them at the money line of -135.
Man, Joey Burrow looking good, bro. Joe Burrow, man.
The whole team is looking good.
And I got to tell you.
Josh Allen, turnover machine too, man. Throws the ball a little wonky.
Exactly. Joe Burrow's looking like Joe Burrow, man. That calf ain't bothering him no more. You know what? I do like the Bengals over the Bills by a score of 31-24. Give me the Bengals all day by a touchdown.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Chargers and Jets. I like to get a little wild, brother. There's one team.
Jets belong to the streets, bro. I already told you.
And then they won last week and you let me bet them.
Done with
you
them.
didn't let me bet
done
them.
with them.
My bet would have hit had you let me bet them.
Done with them, bro. Don't trust them.
Jets, Chargers. Are you just taking the Chargers to absolutely just smack them or what?
Yeah, dude. I'm going to go ahead and take the Chargers. I don't know if they're going to smack them, but I go ahead and like that Chargers by at least, I'd go by -2.
Really? Interesting. Because the line is at -3.5.
Yeah, I think that's a little too high. I'd
So
like them by at least a field goal.
So just the money line. You're taking the money line.
Money line, yeah.
All right, fair enough. I'll do Chargers money line as well. I think that's a safe bet. So those are kind of our favorite bets of the day when it comes to just looking over things and looking at things and where they line up. I do think it's going to be a very interesting one. Not many games do I feel very confident in, to be honest.
You feel confident about these Jets?
No, listen, I feel confident enough that the Jets could win this game, but I don't think they will. However, it is going to be an interesting Sunday for sure, because all these games could go so many different ways. None of these games do I feel like, except for Chicago and the Saints, do I feel like I got them all correct. A pick 'em is going to be really, really tough to do if you're in one of those war leagues where you got to pick games every week. So that's going to be interesting, man. But let's talk a little bit about your DraftKings lineups, FanDuel lineups, stuff like that. Let's take a look real quick at that. I'm looking right now. Every week I come into this and I have a lineup already set, right? And what happens is sometimes I lose value because I'm trying to get ahead so quickly of, players I could find, players that I think are going to be valuable for you guys. And I'm always trying to find something even better every time. So right now, what we're going to do is I'm going to make a live DraftKings lineup right now, just to make sure you guys can see how I kind of go about things. So right now, quarterbacks, top 2 quarterbacks are Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts for the day. However, as you go lower, you got Dak Prescott for 6,500, and then you got Derek Carr for only 5,700, who's also been very good. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually take Dak Prescott quite a bit. And then the other one that I'm going to look at to take is only because of who they're playing. I just don't trust it. Sadly, I'm going to actually swing on Bijan Robinson because I don't trust my Vikings to be exactly great against the run or against this specific player. I'm taking Chris Olave, who is in our Blessed is He Who Starts segment. I like Chris Olave. I think he can make some noise. The other one I'm going to take is Amari Cooper. Again, blessed is he who starts. Then I look at defenses. I'm taking the New Orleans Saints against Chicago. And then I have one wide receiver, one tight end, and one flex. For tight end, who did I tell you? Sleeper, Taysom Hill. Give me some Taysom Hill. I'm going to put him at my tight end spot. And then I got $8,100 to spend. So I got to get 2 players who are kind of low end, just take a swing on them and see what happens. And who I'm going to take a swing on only because he's a slant guy and a guy that I think can make some noise is KJ Osborne from the Minnesota Vikings, because of the fact that he gets these quick, close to the line balls. He's not going to be scoring a ton of points, but he will be getting, I think, a few catches. So for my flex spot, absolute basura spot right here, nobody's good at all. So what we're going to do is take a shot on a big outcome, hopefully, on somebody who can make something happen, anything. And we're going to take a shot on a wide receiver. And the wide receiver that we are actually going to target, I'm between 2 right now. I like looking at Jonathan Mingo for the Carolina Panthers, only because somebody has to catch a ball. And then also Logan Thomas is there, who is the tight end for the Washington Commanders. And I'm going to go ahead and swing on him. So the lineup we have is Prescott, Kamara, Bijan Robinson, Amari Cooper, Chris Olave, KJ Osborne, Taysom Hill, Logan Thomas, and the Saints. And you have exactly $0 left. So I got you the best bang for your buck of a lineup. I just locked that one in. I suggest you go do the same. That's going to be for DraftKings, FanDuel, all that great stuff. Now, prop bets. We said last week, didn't miss any, man. We went crazy.
Yeah.
We went crazy last week. Here are some prop bets I love this week. Starting off hot, I told you guys at the beginning, I said my favorite bet of the day is Tony Pollard. Tony Pollard, I got him at 24.5 receiving yards. Okay, Tony Pollard, 24.5 receiving yards. Right now, he's staying right there. The longer you wait, the more that goes up. Why is that so low? Against San Francisco 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, he had 35. Against the Chargers, he had 80. Against the Rams last week, only 2 receiving yards. That drop-off is not going to be consistent. We know Philadelphia's defensive line, very solid. I trust Dak Prescott more to get the ball to Tony Pollard in some space, in some out routes, whatever the case, just to get going. Just some small, close to the line of scrimmage, and let him make some moves. I like Tony Pollard, 24.5 receiving yards. It's my favorite bet of the day. The other one I like, only 1 yard's needed for this one, and it's still available. It's not a special. This is just his line. How about this one, dude? We said Chicago's awful. Do you think, we're in the NFL, do you think there's at least one play or a few plays where maybe Chicago adds some pressure, right? Just a little bit of pressure. How about Derek Carr over 0.5 rushing yards? Just rush one time, Derek. That's all I need. The whole game, rush one time out. You don't see anybody, just move up and you can fall after 1 yard, and that bet hits.
You know what? I like one player in particular here.
Who do you like?
Against the Cowboys and the Eagles, A.J. Brown.
A.J. Brown.
He's had six consecutive games of 125 receiving yards or more. I think he can do that again against the Cowboys.
I have A.J. Brown. I took the higher on 15.5 fantasy points, only because the receiving yards are great. He has been hitting that. My thing is, even if he doesn't, but he gets a touchdown, we can still fill this fantasy points one. Another one that I like, for some reason, dude, quarterbacks and rushing, I just keep taking them. Geno Smith, 9.5 rushing yards. Last week, -3. That's an anomaly. The week before, 10, 20. I like Geno Smith, 9.5. Then I took Ramondre Stevenson. We both think Washington's defense is going to be pretty solid against the Patriots. We both are taking Washington to cover +3. What does that mean, Joe? It's a close game. Ramondre Stevenson has not been great running, but he's been great passing. His line is at 21.5 receiving yards, and I love that. Last week had 11, but only 2 catches. The week before, 6 catches for 51 yards. The week before that, 5 catches for 24 yards. I like Ramondre Stevenson. Finally, the other 2 bets I have. Cam Akers, over 7.5 rushing attempts. We have seen the Vikings move from Alexander Madison, which is why I told you to bench him, to Cam Akers. The last 2 weeks, 19 carries total. 10 one week, 9 last week. He's going to get more than 7.5 carries, especially against Atlanta. Jonathan Taylor, my second favorite bet of the day, 67.5 rushing yards. Last week, 95 yards on only 12 carries. The week before that, 18 carries for 75 yards. Jonathan Taylor will clear this against Carolina. And then I have Logan Thomas, over 35 receiving yards. He had 44 last week, 51 the week before. This is the only other one I have, and this is the one I'm probably the most confident in, everybody. How about when teams get up big, we know they like to run the ball. Alvin Kamara, the past 3 weeks, Joe, 17 rushing attempts, 17 rushing attempts, 19 rushing attempts. His line is only at 15 against Chicago, who, if they get up, he should be running the ball quite a bit.
Here's the thing with Alvin Kamara, though. If you go ahead and want to bet on him, something interesting here. Do you think he's going to go ahead and be able to have both a rushing and a receiving touchdown this week? That's
an interesting one. Last week, he did it against a much better Colts team. I think that's a tough one. There's big money if you take that one.
Though, man.
I wouldn't take it, but there is big money. Listen, scare money don't make money. I'm scared. If you have the balls, run with it, dog. But Alvin Kamara, over 15 rushing attempts, I like. Zach Wilson, again, quarterbacks and rushing. Something just gets me excited about that small line where it's like 9 yards, 10 yards.
He's going to have to because he's running for his life.
Against the Chargers, hell yeah. Zach Wilson, his line is at 13.5 rushing yards. He had 25 last week, 15 the week before, and 26 the week before that. Love that one. That one should smash. The other one I like, Breece Hall, for receiving yards. This is ludicrous to me, dude. He had 3 catches for 17 yards against Denver, which is a fluke game. That was 3 weeks ago. The next 2 weeks, 5 for 54, 6 for 76, and his line is only 19.5. I have those 3 in a parlay. Kamara rushing attempts, Zach Wilson rushing yards, and Breece Hall receiving yards. That is going to smash, people. I'm telling you, that is going to smash. Go look at that one. Go look at Jonathan Taylor, higher than 67.5 rushing yards, and then Tony Pollard receiving yards. Those are my prop bets. I love them. What do you think, Joe?
Oh, I like them. I think they're solid.
Solid,
because, hey, you've been on a roll the last 2 weeks.
We have been. Do we have any comments or anything, Joe, from the screen? I know I'm seeing just a betting screen real quick.
Let's go ahead and see here, man. I'll go ahead and bring that on for you. Give me a second here. Let me go ahead and transition.
But again, this is going to be a big week. We are very excited, and now it is time for one of the most exciting moments of the week. We had John Williams. He had said, when are you going to have Chris Duell on the podcast? Hey, Chris Duell is always welcome on the podcast, man. We appreciate it. We also had Hanover Fist, our boy. I think I met him. I'm almost positive. I met him at the Spurs season ticket holder little meet and greet stuff. So big shout out to you, brother. He said, what's happening, Alamo City Sports Crew? What's up, brother? And then we have our boy Joe Garcia said, I know this is an NFL themed show, but I got to know why Vegas set the Spurs total so low, 29, even after getting Wemby. When Jeff asked me this question about Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs, I told him 35 wins seemed absolutely doable. And I still believe they could go past that. We've seen them now. They look very solid. The Spurs are going to be great. You're going to go to that game right after this.
Oh, yeah, man. Going to be heading out there with Mikey Menace, man.
That's right, man. Yeah, it's going to be a Nest Show day. You're going to be tore up. Who do the Spurs play? The Raptors?
Playing the Raptors, man.
If we could keep getting wins, brother, we could keep getting wins. We'll see.
Man, let's see what Wemby looks like against Jakob Poeltl.
And I'll tell you right now, the Spurs 3-2. Not bad to start the season for a team that was favored to finish pretty
baby
last.
Spurs, man. The baby Spurs.
So let's talk about things, brother. Let's look at things as it stands. It's time to get into the Fantasy Gods Can't Miss Locked In Parlay of the Week. Let's talk to our boy, Joe Garcia. You are on the clock, Joe.
Okay, so I got two for you, man.
Oh, you got two bets.
So you can decide which way you want
to go.
Well,
now I got to get two bets because now you hype me up.
If you want to go ahead and play the safe route, man, this is what I got for you. Got Texans over the Buccaneers. And again, if you want to go ahead and take the safe route, again, both teams combined are not going to go ahead and score, in my opinion, over 40 points because they haven't done that. If you go and look notoriously over the last couple of weeks. So if you want to go ahead and take the under, go ahead and bet on both teams not scoring over 40. Now, I have the Commanders beating the Pats +3. I think the Pats can go ahead and cover the under. It's 110. Chiefs, I have them barely winning against the Dolphins by a field goal. I do have the Dolphins covering the under -110.
Okay. Give it to me one more time because I got to add it all up. So,
okay,
your final.
I got the Texans over the Buccaneers.
Just money line.
Money line.
Okay.
And I said, hey, if you want to go ahead and do a little extra thing in here, both teams not scoring above 40.
Yeah. Okay.
So Commanders.
Which one do you like more?
Both teams, scoring not over 40.
Okay.
This is the one that's really sexy to me, man.
I'll take the under on that. Okay, go for it.
Commanders, I got them +3 over the Pats.
Okay.
I like that one straight up.
I do think that's a great bet, only because even if they lose, they're not losing by more than 3.
Yeah,
it's a great
by
bet.
3. And the Chiefs by a field goal over the Dolphins. And I got the Dolphins to cover the under.
Gotcha. Okay, so the Dolphins right now, as it stands, the Chiefs are up. It's 4 minutes and 10 seconds left in the fourth. The Chiefs are up 21-14. That one should cover pretty easily. And so with that, let's look at the line as it stands for you. This is a very solid bet for you.
Solid, dude.
Because normally you get a little crazy.
Oh, I got the crazy one for you here too.
So this bet, this is a good bet. This is a smart bet. $100 because the Chiefs were favored, right? And you took the Commanders, you took the under 40. $100 wins you $295. Very solid. A safe bet, a good bet. And it's a nice little 3-punch right there. So like the Commanders and then under 40 on the Buccaneers and Texans. Good stuff. That's a solid bet. Yeah. Now give me your wonky wild ass bet.
A crazy one. Ravens over the Seahawks by 3. I got the Ravens beating the Seahawks 19-16.
Okay, so by 3.
By 3.
Okay, let me go set that in real quick because I like that one too. Interesting. I'm with you, but I'm also like, hey, if you like them by 3, you sure don't like them just by 6?
I like them by 3. It's gonna be a close game.
Okay, fair. Go ahead.
Dallas over the Eagles by a touchdown. I got Dallas beating the Eagles by a score of 30-23.
Okay, Dallas by a touchdown. Wow. You're honestly insane, brother. But I got to tell you, dude, I love it. I love it. Okay. So Dallas by 7.
By 7.
All right, dude. Let's cool. Let's roll with it. Okay, continue.
Bengals. I got the Bengals over the Bills by a touchdown, 31-24.
The Bengals over the Bills by a touchdown. Right now, the line is at -1.5. That's how much it's dropped. So it dropped another point, and you got them beating the Bills by a touchdown.
Yeah.
Good God.
I'm a gambler, bro. I'm telling you, man.
Okay.
When I swing hard.
No kidding, brother. No, you're not. That's not a joke at all, dude.
I'm an Adonis Garcia, bro.
Good. Yeah, you're a Adonis. Yeah. So as it stands right now, you're looking at a pretty ridiculous outcome here. Again, Joe's known for shit like this, guys. He does stuff like this constantly to mess with me. So let's look at things. Here's what we got. So you got Baltimore by 3. You got the Giants. You got the Dallas by 7. And then he came over the top and said the Cincinnati Bengals by
touchdown.
Wow. All righty. So you're looking at quite a bit. So $100 people would win you over $2,000.
I'm telling you, man.
This dude's not playing no games. $10 would win you over $200 if you don't want to get too wild. But again, Joe Garcia is known for this. He's hit one before. He constantly chases them back. But I like the first one he had because it seems a lot more safe. You probably can't get in for the bet anymore for the Chiefs because that one's live. So is there something else that maybe they can throw in to match that Commanders bet?
The Commanders bet. Let's see.
Because you said it was you had Commanders +3 against the Patriots, right? And then you had under 40 for Houston and Tampa Bay. Is there another bet you'd be comfortable with adding because they probably can't get in?
Yeah, they're gonna be able to get in on that one anymore.
Chiefs game.
What I can tell you though is
would you do the Cowboys like just money line?
Well, the other one that I like too is I like the Bears and the Saints one. You know,
you like the Saints to cover -9.
Like the Saints to go ahead and cover that -9.
Okay, so with that, if you do that bet, again, similarly, very solid bet. $100 wins you $668 just for adding that Saints bet. So I love that one. One that I have for my can't miss locked in parlay of the week. I'm telling you now, I love this one. It's beautiful. Here we go. Indianapolis Colts money line -130. The Commanders +3. So basically, if the Commanders shit the bed, people, Joe and I both are losing this bet, but they're not going to lose by more than 3. Colts -130 money line. Commanders +3. And then I got the Minnesota Vikings +3.5. I'm not even asking for a win. Just don't lose by more than 3. Those are my bets, 3 of them. It's +519 odds. What does that mean? That means $100 wins you $619. $25 wins you $165 or so. So I love that bet. Love. I do think that's going to be a solid hit. I gave you my prop bets. We gave you the can't miss parlays of the week. We appreciate it for tuning in with us every Sunday. Go Spurs, go, Joe.
Go Spurs, go.
Puro pinche Cowboys.
Of course, dude. Puro pinche Cowboys out of it.
Big games, big bets.
What about the Vikings?
Listen.
Hey, come on. You're wearing the gear, bro.
Dude, they're playing with somebody that just graduated from John Jay High School or some shit. Like the quarterback situations.
So you got this locked down then, right?
Nah, listen. It's always Skull Vikings. I'll be in Minnesota next week. So I will not be on the show next Sunday. We'll have a very special guest to hopefully come in and be with you guys. But we appreciate you tuning in. Go Vikings, go Spurs, go Cowboys. We'll see you next time. And as always, may the fantasy gods be with you.